Welcome to Winter.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So jumping straight into this tutorial then, I'm taking some liquid latex and I'm also taking some torn up tissue paper. I'm using the textured tissue paper because I wanted this skin to appear textured like a normal zombie's skin would. So what I'm doing here then, I am just basing a layer down onto the skin using a sponge. You're going to want to use a sponge for this because the liquid latex will ruin your brushes. So I'm placing a layer down and then I'm just taking thin pieces of the tissue and layering them on top. Then I'm going back in with some more liquid latex to seal them down. So I'm popping a little bit on my left side of my cheek, a little bit on my forehead and a little bit on the right side of my mouth. I do this a few times to build it up, and then you're going to want to wait for it to dry completely. So then I'm taking some porridge oats. It's a good little trick. Mixing it with some latex and using a spatula to apply that onto my skin just to give it some texture. I wanted it to look a bit infected, a bit gross, a bit yucky, but yep, I'm just whacking that on my face. I did add a bit more latex to the mix because the porridge oats like soaked into the latex and obviously it was lumpy as hell. But after all that is dry, you're going to want to wait for it to be completely dry. You can also use a hairdryer to help it dry quicker. I'm just taking my little tweezers and I'm just starting to pull little bits of the latex away, holding the bits that melt into the skin. I'm holding them so that they don't come loose, and I'm just tearing some lacerations, I don't know, I'm tearing some holes basically into the latex to give the illusion of like cuts and holes and all that yucky gory stuff. So after we've done that then, I'm just taking a light shade of the NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat foundation. This is in the shade Ivory. I'm taking this because it is very, very light for me, so it will give me that off-white sickly appearance. Obviously I want to look dead, so that is the shade I'm using, and I'm just roughly stippling that onto my skin with a sponge. I wanted it to be quite patchy. I didn't want it to be full coverage. So then I'm taking my iMagic Flash palette and I'm mixing the green, the brown and the white to create this sickly green colour. And then I'm taking a stippling sponge and I'm just ripping little bits off the sponge as well to create like a jagged edge, and I'm just dipping that onto the colour on my hand, and then I'm just stippling that onto my face, on top of the infected looking areas like the porridge oats, just to give it that green minging colour. Then I dipped my sponge back into some more brown and black cream paint from the same palette, and I'm just stippling that all over my face, chest and neck to give that dirty look, because obviously zombies are like minging and they're like rotten basically, so I wanted it to be quite dirty, quite green, quite brown, quite black. So I'm just applying that all over to my face to add a bit more depth and dimension. So then I'm taking my Snazaroo water activated face paint, and this is obviously in the shade red, and I'm just using a very fine detailing brush and I'm just going in between all those little holes that we created earlier. We will be going over this with some blood and stuff like that in a bit, but I wanted the base of it to be red, as if it was like fresh wounds, as if like, you know, perhaps I've been shot a few times, or you know what I mean. If you've watched The Walking Dead, you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm just going in and I'm just filling that in with red. Then I'm also taking some red, but I'm using it quite watered down, so I'm using more water and less paint, and I'm just going around those infected porridge oats and I am just going around to give it a bit of dimension. I'm also tapping it out with my finger to blend it into my skin so that it doesn't look so harsh, and then I'm just repeating that for my forehead infected area as well, just adding a little bit of colour to everything to bring the look together. So now watering down some of the red again, You can use alcohol activated paints for this. This will give you a bit more of a light wash of colour, but I don't have any alcohol activated. I only have water activated, so I am making do. So I'm just really soaking that paint in water, and I'm literally just taking that brush and washing it all over the liquid latex to make this skin look nice and irritated, nice and sore, like normal skin would be. So then I'm going in with my brown water activated face paint. I'm taking a mix of this and the red together, and I'm just, like I said earlier, same rule applies. I'm just using a lot of water, and I'm just giving that a nice wash of colour all over the skin, just to make the skin look aged, to make it look sore, to make it look just minging. I wanted it to be gory, I wanted it to be bloody, so I'm not going to talk all the way through it because it's a pretty self-explanatory process. I'm just adding paint to the areas that I feel need more colour. So now I'm going in with MakeupGeek's eyeshadow in the shade TIKI. I'm just taking that in an angled face brush, and I am just dabbing that all over the areas of my face. It's like a nice dirty colour, so I wanted it to really darken my face up, so I'm just applying it everywhere. Then I'm going in with MakeupGeek eyeshadow in BITTEN, and I'm just using that on a big blending brush, and I'm just applying that to my mobile eyelid, and I'm also buffing that underneath my eye. I wanted to give the eye a really irritated look. I wanted it to be like quite diseased, so I'm just going in with that eyeshadow, and I'm just buffing it everywhere around my eye just to make it look as sore as possible. So after you've done that, I'm going in with the shade Corrupt, which is also by MakeupGeek, and I'm just using this to darken the hollows of my eye. So I'm really focusing on the inner corner and like the nose part, really darkening that up to make it look like my eye socket is sunken into my head. And then I'm also using that to create shadow and depth on the outer corner of my eye, like on top of the cheekbone, just to make it look like it is nice and sunken in and I am dead, and that there is like no flesh left, if you will. But yeah, just keep going in there, using a little bit at a time and then building on that. You don't want to go in with loads of black first off because it'll be harder to blend out. I'm also using that then to add some darkness to my nose, and just using that to go around and add darkness to the hollows of my face, so like my temple areas. And I'm using this as well to darken some of the wounds up to make it look a bit more realistic. I'm then using the same eyeshadow, and I'm just shading the hollows of my neck and my chest in, so where the collarbones are, just to make me look nice and skinny. I want to be a skinny zombie, but yeah, just to add a bit more effect, I'm shading in the hollows of my chest and also adding some shading on my forehead. So again, I'm just taking a mix of black, brown and red water activated face paint. Like I said earlier, still quite watered down, and I'm just going over certain areas of the face that I felt needed a bit more colour, especially around the lining of the latex. It was blended into my skin, but I still wanted it to be a bit more colour on the face, so that's all I'm doing here, is just adding a bit more colour to certain areas. And now for the go. So I'm taking Nye's Thick Blood, and I'm just using a spatula, and I'm applying a lot of that thick blood to each like crater that I've made in my face, just because this will give it a more realistic feel. Because the blood is dark as well, it would make it look more three-dimensional, it would make it look more lifelike. So I'm just packing that thick blood on into the little holes that we've made. I'm then going around as well with the same type of blood, and I am just applying that to the outer corners of the cuts as well, just to add a bit more blood there to make it look more realistic. And I'm also placing a little bit onto the areas around my nose, and then I'm just using it to darken up the latex around the holes. And And then I'm going in with Nye Stage Blood, and I'm just using this on a brush, and I'm just going over all of the cuts just to make them more bloody. Because this is a gel consistency, it will make the cuts look fresh, it will make them look new, it will make them look wet. So I'm just adding that to all the cuts and the areas around it as well, just to add a bit of blood here, there and everywhere. I wanted it to be quite sick and gory, but I'm also using this just to darken up certain areas of my face and add a bit more colour as well. Then I'm using a dripping technique, so I'm just like picking lots of the blood up and I'm just dripping that down from the cuts to make it look like I perhaps have just been like shot in the head and there is like blood dripping down. So I'm just going over all the holes and I'm just doing that. And then I'm taking some black water activated face paint and a stippling sponge again, and I wanted certain areas to be darker, so I'm just stippling that black onto certain areas to add a bit more shadow and a bit more depth and dimension to make it look nice and dark and gory. And then I felt like I wanted even darker eyes, so I went back in with the black eyeshadow and applied some more shadows along my eyes. So now I'm taking some water activated face paint in red again, using a toothbrush. I'm wetting it down and I am just spraying that red all over my face to give that blood spray effect. And then after I'd done that, I also took some black eyeshadow and rubbed it onto my teeth to give my teeth a decaying feel, because I didn't have no tooth colour here. And then basically guys, that is it. That is the tutorial complete. So I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye! Do me a favour. Pass me some spatulas in.
What?
Pass me some spatulas in. In my waxing trolley, there's some thin spatulas. Pass them in for me.
I don't know what they look like.
Well, a spatula.
The lollipop stick.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the spatulas for waxing.